Genevieve, the song you all just did was perfect, and I think the whole talk was right in there. So thanks for coming. But I want to say a very heartfelt, humble thank you for being here today and for listening again to me speak. I know I was here last week, and Phyllis is supposed to be here today, but she called Desi the other day, I think it was Wednesday, and said that she was sick, and so tried to get her to trade with me maybe next week, but no, she will be out of town. So you've got me today and next week as well, and I give you many thanks. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. And so let's send Phyllis chicken soup vibes, because she's got that horrible, yucky thing that is no fun. And so I knew that today she was going to talk about God's bounty. And I looked at the notes, and I actually started thinking and writing notes, and I looked at the notes that were provided, and I said, wow, how synchronistic, because the notes fell right into so much of what I wanted to say. And I began to be, I've often said, oh gosh, I don't want to fit into these titles and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I'm looking at these notes now that are provided each time, and I'm saying, gosh, thank you so much, because it's like asking the ancestors for help. It's like asking the ancestors for wisdom and getting the wisdom of others out there who are doing this work week after week, year after year, and learning about how they would express and what they choose to cover, and saying, okay, thank you for these guidelines. Thank you for this wisdom. And so as I thought about God's bounty, and I thought about actually one person's comment last week. One person said, there was so much wit and so much wisdom that I went too fast, and he wanted a hard copy. And I said, a hard copy? You want all this Braille? But I went back and I listened, and I said, gosh, I need to slow down, because I'm thinking I want to make sure I give them enough. And sometimes people need more time to just really take it in and have a moment to decide, is this mine or is that somebody else's? Is this something I can go back to, or is this something that's not for me? So I thought about God's bounty, and we're going to get to that in a minute, but another title had to come in, another title. And so the title, How Are You Receiving, came. And when people asked me, what are you talking about Sunday? And I said, how are you receiving? Guess what? They all said, not very well. Not very well. Guess what? We probably all have in common that we're not always the best of receivers. But if I asked, how are you giving and what are you giving? Oh man, lots of us know full well that we're going to show up and make sure that we're giving, even on a bad day, especially on a rainy day. We're going to show up and we're going to do our best to give, because we were told, right? It's more blessed to give and receive. Yes. And so a book came to mind that I heard about when I lived in Atlanta, and I went to David Alt's church. And he talked about a book by Amanda Owen called The Power of Receiving. And Amanda Owen, it's funny too, because she hasn't really done much else since that book. Probably not a hugely popular topic, and yet, wow, a very important topic, because Amanda Owen was watching lots and lots of people. She's a psychologist, and she was watching lots of people and said, a lot of people are good givers, but they're not always good receivers. Why is that? And she started to note differences. So she says that we should give much and receive graciously. Well, what if we don't always receive graciously? Anybody remember the movie Defending Your Life? And there was a part in it where, well, they were saying you could have all you wanted to eat. And it was a guy who had gone to that state between life and where you might go after death. He was in a waiting kind of place, and he was being evaluated. And so he was eating, different things that he had always wanted to eat and not have to worry about, any restrictions about dieting or anything. And this man came up to him and he said, "I know you want 9 pies. And he said, No, I don't. And he said, "Don't be shy. Don't be bashful. Let me give you 9 pies. And no. Well, when they evaluated his life, they looked at, I think it was 1 day, to see how much he had moved on from fear and how much he could allow himself to receive. And they highlighted that example. They said, you would not allow yourself to receive those 9 pies. What if we said, oh, okay, I'll receive 9 pies, and we ate all we wanted, and then we still had more to give? Because, heck, we're probably not going to sit there and eat 9 pies, but we might take it with us and give. But anyway, Amanda Owen says that there is a difference between givers and receivers and doers and takers. Oh boy. So some people who think they are giving are doing a heck of a lot of, who think they are giving are doing a heck of a lot of doing. They're managing. They're telling you, this is my, they're kind of putting out their agendas. And they're looking like they're giving. But in some cases, they're really doing and pushing and controlling. And takers are not always good receivers. How many of you can even remember a time in your life where you've given and somebody seems like they're not really appreciating? They're, in fact, maybe demanding more. They're appreciating less. And they're taking more. They're taking and taking, but they're always doing the taking. And you have maybe always been doing the doing. So what she says is that giving and receiving are roles that are interchanged at best, and that we really need to be doing a healthy amount of both. I was thinking about how giving and receiving are kind of like breathing. When we breathe in, we are feeding ourselves in a way, we're doing something so good for ourselves, and when we breathe out, we're equally doing something good for ourselves. So years ago, I came up with this silly thing. Here I go again with my words. Well, we have words like employer and employee. And then we have helper and helpee. So then I started thinking about giving and receiving. I said, well, then if a giver is giving, then the person receiving must be the givee. And if a receiver is receiving, then what's a receivee? Maybe a receivee is a giver. And really all that craziness means is that really when we are truly giving, we're receiving. And when we're receiving, especially graciously, we are also giving. We are doing both simultaneously. And so when I thought about God's bounty, I thought about that infinite flow of the presence, of the essence, of all that is, that's everywhere present, that cannot not be, cannot not give, cannot not express and how it is available to us at all times. I mean, I was even thinking last night, well, okay, so what if it's a store? What if it's God's supply store? And we can just go there and get what we want and need. And all those aisles, what might be in those aisles of God's infinite supply that any of us need at any given time. And then I also was remembering a line in a song by David Roth. The song is called I Have Learned. And there's a line in it that says, if my life's not flowing, I may be standing on my own hose. We have this wonderful tub, this garden tub, and it has a whirlpool. It has jets. And I don't know if you have ever noticed in a swimming pool or in any kind of a tub where the water is flowing throughout, those little jets come in, and they're not always equal. The water pressure is not the same in all of them sometimes. I noticed that with this tub. And so sometimes we're not always able to feel that flow of God's wonderful supply coming to us and through us. We're not always feeling that. And yet it is so abundant. It is so everywhere. I don't know about you, but one of my favorite aisles I like to hang out in God's infinite store of supply. I like to hang out in the wonderment aisle. I can go there for inspiration anytime I want. Like, who put the wag in the dog's tail? Who did that? That is just so incredible. And who put the woof in the dog? And who put all that fur so perfectly on our pets? So perfectly. It's not like hanging off in weird ways at different lengths. And who made our bodies so resilient? We don't eat through our knees. We take in food a certain way, and we get to taste it and be nourished by it. And we get to release it in certain ways that allow us our dignity. And we get to have it digest and that blood to pump throughout us without us having to orchestrate it. Can you imagine saying, well, wait a minute now, this artery's up here, and let me make sure this blood is flowing this way, and these veins are over here, and I got to organize, and wait a minute, I can't do anything else because I got to manage all this. No, it's managed for us. And I find that the more I get out of my own way, the better everything is managed. Even the things that I'm thinking about, maybe especially the things that I'm thinking about. And so this morning, I got up and I started looking up some other things that I wanted to put together. And last night I was sitting and I'm writing all this stuff, And this morning, I went in to finish putting on my makeup, and more came into my head that said, no, don't worry about all that. Do this instead. So I'm going to tell you what that is that came. So years ago, I was taking, I wasn't yet taking it. A friend of mine was taking a Reiki class. And she was told that the teacher was going to put words that would go with certain attributes into everyone's head. Like, put energy on their head, and if somebody wanted abundance, then she would energetically think about that and transmit that to the person. And so I thought about that, and I thought, what would I want if I were given that opportunity? What two words would I choose that would be in the highest and the best? And I chose, even though I wasn't in the class, I chose peace and joy. Joy, because joy is not really just about fun or laughter, even though it includes those, but joy Joy, I was thinking, is maybe somewhere between purpose and passion. It's just something that's like, oh, it's just so good. It's just so good to be alive. It's just so good to appreciate that life is, and it's everywhere. And that wonderment is everywhere. And peace, because peace is always available to us, especially when we go down deep, beyond the waves of the shore. You know, if you go into the ocean and you go out beyond the waves, there's a point where it's very still and it's very calm. And if we go there inside, no matter what, even with all the noise, even with all of the craziness, and there is plenty of that, but we go there, that peace, no one can take away. Nothing can take away. Because when we go into that peace, that will envelop you and me. It will, and it does, envelop each of us. And in that peace, we are able to receive. So then, what else gets in the way of receiving? Well, the other thing that I've been thinking a lot about is forgiveness. And I never see that in the notes, but one of these days I'm going to give you all a really good talk about forgiveness, because it's something I have certainly needed to learn a lot and have learned a lot about, and I would love to share with you what that is. But in the meantime, I thought of a couple of things. One is Ho'oponopono. What's that? Ho'oponopono. Just keep saying P-O-N-O, P-O-N-O, you'll get there. Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian peace prayer. And after I teach you this, I'm going to give you another way that I found this morning that I was like, oh, I never knew about this one. What some people do is they know that everyone we can't forgive is an extension of us. It's a projection of us. And so, what we do with Ho'oponopono is we see them in our mind's eye and we say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you and thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you and I love you. Now, there are some people who hear that and go, I just can't do that. Like, there are some people right now who just wouldn't be able to think of some of these people out there in the media and in the news and all that and say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, because they'd want to say, but it's your fault. And so, but there's a story, if you look this up, there's a story about a whole mental health hospital, I guess of patients who were also criminals, who was cleared out by some people using that technique, and it meant that the bad behaviors went away because people did their forgiveness work and they stopped projecting, they stopped blaming. Now, there's another method that I found this morning, if I can find where I put this, and it's called the 4 Ways to Forgive. Oh, where did I put it? And it is by, okay, I forgive. Oh, okay, here we go. It is by, let's see. His name is, what is your name? Talking about the energy. Okay, well, I'm not finding where his name is, but I might find it as I'm doing this with you. He put out a 4-step process. And it starts with, I want to forgive. I want to forgive. And I remember years ago, some of us saying, I'm not sure I want to enough, but I want to. Oh, here it is. William Fergus Martin. William Fergus, F-U-R-G-U-S, Martin. You can look him up if you want. I want to forgive. So maybe I want to, but I don't know how. And so then step 2 is to write down the person's name. I want to forgive this person, but also to list the unhappy feelings, to just get it out instead of trying to stuff it and push it down. Get it out. And then step 3 is to write down the benefits of forgiving. I want to forgive because, heck, my life would be a lot easier if I could put this behind me, if I could just let them go and not be concerned about that at all, not feel the effect of whatever that is. And then the 4th step is to write an affirmation. I want to forgive this person because I will benefit in these ways. I will benefit by feeling lighter and freer. And I forgive and I accept these benefits that forgiveness brings. And then go back to step 1 again and keep on working it through. Remember that the word resent, is really the word resent. Resent. So when we are into a resentment, we are sending that awful feeling through our bodies over and over and over. And that doesn't help us. That does not help us at all, and it certainly doesn't help the other person. Well, the heck with it. Maybe we don't care about helping the other person. We don't forgive to do anyone a favor. We forgive because it's better for us. I heard a nun once say that it was up to us to forgive ourselves, which is where I think the biggest forgiveness is that needs to happen. Really forgiving and accepting ourselves, and up to God to forgive everyone else. Up to us to forgive ourselves, and up to God to forgive everyone else. Well, where is this God? It's within us, but maybe it's about releasing. So we're gonna play with that. I want to give you a little guided meditation here, and this will tie in beautifully with what Jackie brought up, because we're going to do a recycling. And so let us go into that quiet space and know that God's bounty is right here, right within us and all around us. In fact, it is us. It is we. We are such a key to bring it forward. And so as we settle into a peaceful space, perhaps you can become aware as you breathe in, notice a space, and breathe out. Notice a space. And continue to breathe in and breathe out. And notice the space, however small, between each breath as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And before you breathe in again, that little space. And what if that little space contains that wonderful, peaceful, quiet substance, essence of all there is of God? And also in the breaths. Also in the breaths. But now I want you to imagine that we can pick up those spaces, that it becomes like a substance, that is a gentle, quiet, peaceful substance made out of, well, for me it's like a soft thread. But it's a substance that you can take and wrap around. Wrap around first. Wrap around you if you choose. Just know that it is all wrapping around you, giving you a safe place of support, a safe cushion on which to even lean. And the more we lean, the more support we can experience. And this substance can be taken and wrapped around any concerns, any worries, any old resentments, wrapping around those concerns. And knowing that we can do what we wish with these, we can trust and give them to Spirit. I like to envision a recycling bin. I've been doing this for about 20 years. A recycling bin is suddenly before you. And you can place into this bin anything you want, anything that you know serves you no useful purpose, wrapped in this wonderful substance, gently encased. And you can place in this bin anything that you know is yours, but you're not sure what to do about it. And you want to trust it to be transformed, to be transmuted, and to return to you as a regenerated way of something that is yours to do something with. So place in that bin, trusting and knowing that whatever is yours will be returned, and whatever is not yours will just be gone, disappear, return to wherever it needs to be, used as creative essence in other ways. And trust that as you're ready, the recycling angels are just ready to whisk right there, right by you, and pick up your bin and know that it will be in loving hands, loving energy. Knowing that it is blessed as we are blessed. And we give thanks, knowing that as we return from this experience, we are lighter, we are freer, we are more able to receive and give just as we are breathing. We are givers and receivers. Just appreciating and enjoying the rich bounty of God that is everywhere. And so it is. Okay, we have an affirmation. And if I can find it. Where is it? Okay, I think I have it here. One more page. Okay, let's see. Okay, where are you? Okay, and together knowing we can. Gosh. Okay. The affirmation is on your. Okay, here it is. On the wall. Okay. I am an express. To be. Okay, I had the wrong thing, but that's okay. All right. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.